Everyone, Joe here from ActionX, and welcome to What's in the Tube. But welcome back. If this is your fifth The Rookie Season 8 episode review, hope you're doing well. Hope you're staying safe out there in the bigger world. It's been a month since The Rookie came out. I'm very, very surprised that a whole month has gone by. 2026 is on the bandwagon. We are officially in February, and I always keep forgetting that like the first half of the year kind of goes by pretty quickly, and then when you get to the second half of the year, is probably when you realize, oh shit, what have we done here? What have we done here? We're moving along. Then we're going to be back at Christmas. So yeah, fun times ahead. So this week with The Rookie, I had some back things to say about The Rookie. I don't remember anymore what I was going to say about it. It's been a very hectic couple of days, as I alluded to in the last episode review, that I was just beginning my brand new employment path. So I have been very divisional on it. I've also been working on the next sets of After the Theater episodes. So I've been very busy on the content creation front. But so I completely forgot what I was going to say, prominently about The Rookie. But with all that being said, if I got nothing really else to say, this week's episode, I think honestly, it was near amazing. What do I mean by near amazing? I think it's suffering a little bit of what I mentioned last week, that it's a little bit too much. It's a little bit too much. There was like so many great things, so many returns, so many, back to the forefront. This is one of those like 100% firing in all cylinders episode. We're on the 5th episode of the season. We still have 13 more to go. This is just one of those examples like, hey, you never know who's going to show up. It's the 8th season. You don't know who's the next one to come back into the Rookie universe to play along. And this week's episode, they surprised me with a couple of them. Some I knew about, obviously the big one, which we'll talk about in a bit. But I feel like still it didn't. It's like I don't really know how to explain it from like a non-spoiler capacity. Like all I really say is that there were things that I was like, oh my god, I can't believe X, Y, and Z are here. But like okay, but like A, B, and C could have been a little bit more fine-tuned. Or we could have just saved this component for its own episode. And again, I know there's a storyline. I know they're trying to pick out their beats. They're trying to kind of make it all work. Because you never know. This could be the last one. You want to go on a high note. I understand that, but I don't know. Maybe it's just the non-writer in me probably speaking up for it. But like I always say, I trust the writers way more than I do or anyone else. So let them cook. But with all that being said, let's go for the butcher recap and talk about this week's episode of The Rookie. So we begin with the standard storytelling device of like we are jumping probably towards the end of this episode story. We see Aaron back on the field, Nolan finding a bunch of, random goons while they're like very suited up, but they don't really have too much in the weaponry department. Nolan gets kind of stuck in a very in a hard in a rock place. And next thing you know, we get to the title card, which I will give them credit. This was a very creative way to kind of make the episode title card appear, which is like you see a pool of blood coming to your left, and then you just see the Rookie logo on there. I don't know why I couldn't take it fully seriously, but at the same time, I was just like, yeah, I kind of knew what was gonna happen from the get go. No offense to them. No offense to the editors. I get what they were trying to go for, but it didn't 100% sell me as the viewer, to be honest with you. We pick things up about 12 hours later, which I'm like, is it really 12 hours later? Is it? I don't know. I don't 100% know. Where we see Nolan in the middle of some very intensive yoga with Bailey complimenting him, swooning him, as this is fresh after Bailey's request to have them both move to DC. And even though Nolan did his due diligence, talking to Gray about it, saying that, well, to go into the DC PD isn't exactly the most luxurious position possible. It definitely is going to be a major demotion. That essentially means the last 5 years of Nolan's life is out the window. Not to say it's not for merit, but again, Nolan's going to lose his position in Mid-Wilshire. He's going to lose his status. He's going to go to a whole new PD. He's going to have to go back into the academy. He's going to have to do all this again. But Bailey's still very insistent on wanting to go to DC. And she wants, of course, Nolan to tag along with her because they're married and then they could do this together. And now she's saying, well, how about you do a little bit more research and find out about it? Which I'm like, Bailey, look. The man said no. He did his due diligence. I mean, of course, the man. This wasn't the man's full dream, but it's what he wanted in his new stage of life. Of course, he's accomplishing it, but like, we'll get to more about my feelings about that at the end of the episode, because that's one where we're gonna have more to say about that. Um, then we cut over to the couples. Well, not really the couple. We see Bradford and Chen driving to the station. The first time they're kind of in this domesticated mood where like Chen's listening to positivities of them, having moved in together. Now they can go in at the same time since their shifts are basically the same because she's the primary sergeant and he's the watch commander. So nine out of 10 they're gonna have very common shifts. Obviously, also Selena and Miles are also riding along together. So it does say it's a win-win and all right. It's a win-win. However, there is one more vehicle that we have to focus on. As the first of our returning characters of 3 this episode, because it's been a while. The return of Mr. Thorson. That's right. After a whole season, some change, he has returned to the rookie. He has regraced and he has grown out a mustache. A mustache. Oh my god! I know it's great to see Aaron. It really is. I completely keep forgetting the fact that this man is the most chillest police officer that I've ever seen, and of course, obviously, I've said my little nippets and questionable moments of him because of the storyline they kept giving him after his preliminary was completed. But again, he has returned. It is all happy returns, and everyone's happy to see him. I said happy too many times, and also him being Miles is like, oh, it's pretty cool. It's like hey, I was a rookie once, and now you're the rookie, technically speaking. So it's cool to get that analogy there. Aaron has been summoned by Gray, as apparently he's the latest recruit on, well, not the full recruit, more like as a potential addition to the Garza crew that he's been assembling for the last few episodes. So what exactly is his purpose is on the op now, joining this late in the game? We'll see. We'll see and find out about that one. Harper makes a pit stop before she heads off to work, as she also greets us with the return of our second return, which it's been a while. I think the last time we seen her was either season 5 or season 6. I don't quite remember. It's her daughter. It's her little daughter, who is now, I believe, a teenager. I'm like, oh my god, I am so old. Like, I remember when she was a tiny little girl, like not tiny little girl. She was like 7 or 8. But I'm like, I forgot it's been 5 years in the rookie universe, so technically 4.5 years since we met her. So I'm like, she's a preteen to a teenager, and I'm like, oh my god, they're growing up. God, I'm getting old. Yeah, so apparently she's having a big presentation in class today. She's getting the worry words about it, and it's a little bit she's getting shy. And don't get me wrong, we've all been there once. And of course, Harper's is giving her some motivations that no matter what happens tonight or what happens today, that she's still going to be the same kid that she is, still great, still amazing, and we're going to continue as such about it. Wesley is about to announce his candidacy for LADA, which of course Lopez also means that she's also included on the ride, considering the fact that she's the wife. She's going to be the supportive wife of the coming politician / major election figure, that she also needs to dress the part, and she's not really fully confident on her wardrobe. And so she and Harper are about to go on a shopping montage during their lunchtime to find potential wardrobe for her for tonight's announcement, which I'm a little bit confused by, because he claims there's like 24 hours, which I'm just like, nah, your thing's at the dead of night, so no, it's not 24 hours, less than 24 hours. And he doesn't even run a speech, and I'm like, Wesley, my dude, you're about to announce yourself for candidacy. You need the speech. You need to have a very strong start to your campaign. And I'm just realizing, so I can't say shit, because part of my French is that when I launched my campaign for class president, again, this is me saying I'm old, over 15 years ago. Damn, I'm fucking old. But, I didn't even have the best speech possible, so I can't even say shit. Anyway, moving on from that point. So now we start combing through the lines. obviously Nolan's a bit distracted right now. You know, the an impending move to DC, which has not been fully accepted by himself, isn't exactly something he's starting off his day with. As even Miles is giving him some questions about like, hey, I'm going to graduate, right? You know, I got like a month left in my program, just making sure you're gonna pass me. And like Nolan's like, oh, right, yeah, you're gonna pass. Don't worry, kid. I just got something else in my mind right now. I believe they get a call from dispatch. There was a report of an abandoned police vehicle in their area. The pair, plus Chen and Juarez, who were also gossiping on other stuff, apparently. A little bit of trouble in Juarez's personal romance life, as Roger is still on his tour. It's very difficult to sustain a long distance relationship, and you know, but he is coming back very soon. So hopefully that also means that he will also be back to annoy our very friendly Nolan. So the four converge onto an abandoned warehouse where they look into the back of it. They see two officers shot, bleeding out, and they're claiming that one of their CIs betrayed them, and now he's on the lam. So obviously the point of attention has switched over to that point of view. Thorson reunites with Gray, but not in the most friendliest of matters. Which I'm like, Gray, what's wrong? What's going on, bro? I thought you'd be so overjoyed to see one of your fellow Midwilshire officers back out there. Apparently, the reason why Garza is recruiting him, which also he brings in the third and final true return, the return of Elena from the Rookie Feds, which I'm like, I'm so happy they keep remembering the Feds character. We almost got the whole crew back together. I'm still saying we need to have a Feds finale episode in the Rookie. We need to have some closure. We need to. But she has since gone to Quantico. She has graduated. Now she's officially an FBI agent. So congrats to her. Now working fully with Garza on the new team. But the reason why they have brought along Aaron for the ride is because so apparently there's this very super secret, very next level communication platform. It's like beyond, like, you know, it's like using this newfangled technology on it. I can't even get into. But apparently only the elite of criminals is using this platform. And there is one potential major player that could have an access point to that communication array, which is Aaron's former cellmate from when he was in prison. Which honestly, again, like, I will give credence. Like, okay, yeah, we're still remembering. Yeah, Aaron was incarcerated for quite a bit, but at the same time, and also I also, like, you know, love to the fact that he has moved on since then. Now he's a whole new person. He's ready to kind of, you know, use his experience for the best. So obviously there's still a big concern considering the fact, obviously, Aaron is a known police officer now. Him associating himself with a criminal isn't exactly the smartest move to play, but it's their only best play they got. And of course, obviously, Aaron's job is not to get into the facility itself, but it's just to kind of narrow it down a little bit so they know where exactly to look. As Monica's plea deal continues to develop itself, as she also takes center stage in this particular op as well. Which of course Aaron signs off on it. They're willing to go. He's willing to go in and attempt to try and get a kind of a pin on him on where that array facility is. They transfer the two officers that were shot back to the hospital by Nolan and Miles, while Selena and Chen stay back to overlook the original crime scene, which, upon them looking at it, it's like, it's just some inconsistencies with it. Like, it doesn't exactly feel like a surprise shootout, that it is kind of like a self-inflicted, or like kind of like crossfire, like friendly fire shots, essentially speaking. So it's a little bit concerning there. So it might not exactly be what they were being told that it is. And Selena uses her, I guess, attractiveness towards the crime scene photographer, who is smitten by her, and he immediately, like, is it not public knowledge that, you know, I don't know anything about police officers, like, you got to disclose your relationship status. Like, doesn't people know? Like, Roger has been in Mid Wilshire before, so I'm like, it wouldn't have been public knowledge she is in a relationship, and this dude is clearly pining for her, and like, dude, you got a good chin. Focus on someone else. But regardless of the moment, Juarez kind of pushes him to, like, you know, process these photos as fast as you can. We need to make sure that these are fair assumptions and accusations we're about to make before we go into it. However, sadly, once Nolan and Miles kind of fill in Lopez and Harper about the matter, They continue with that to find the supposed betrayed CI who is visiting his mom's gravestone in the cemetery, which the four try to get the jump on him with Bradford aiding them. However, sadly, they also get the jump on them for his gang, and so very, very well done choreographed fight occurs between the officers and the goons. Thankfully, well, not thankfully, not yet. Nolan and Miles give chase to the primary person, managing to, I believe, corner him in the mausoleum. I believe that's the name of the more like, it's not like buried in the ground. It's like the buildings where like it's actually just slid in and like encapsulated in a stone cap. I think that's the name of it. I'm not 100% certain about that. So they interrogate him, and obviously he's not giving much information. He's not even accepting the fact he didn't even do this whatsoever. He said like, okay, there's a reason why this is the case, and I'm going to give you a free nibble. Is that this particular officer that I'm partnered with on a CI officer basis is that he is very well notorious of trying to get the youngest, most attractive rookies to his care so that they can go and hook up essentially during their shift, which I'm like, you know what, yeah, I could definitely see that happening, to be honest with you. So he's like, they're probably using him as like a cover so that their relationship doesn't get exposed. So yeah, that at least give them the motive, like, yeah, it wasn't them. And then Juarez and Shen back that up with their assessment of the crime scene, which the photographer also confirms as well, that like, yeah, that's the matter of play here with that front. Aaron goes to meet his former cellmate. Of course, the cellmate's very apprehensive, like, oh my god, it's so great to see you, but like, why exactly are you here? Like, I know I just got to LA, so I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's public knowledge in your community, but like, a little bit sus, don't you think? And Aaron using like kind of like a Trojan horse approach here, where he's saying like, yeah, no, well, I just recently got invited to an operation. I'm just letting you know that some of your houses are gonna about to be raided very soon. So I'm giving you a heads up because I owe you majorly for you protecting me while we were in prison together. So this is kind of my way of like repaying the favor, which he does kind of fall for, and it allows them to kind of get a track movement on it, in which they manage to narrow down the area. Noel gets brought on the matter because of his construction experience, considering the fact this is not a very simplistic, like, it's not going to be on a cell phone or Nintendo. This is going to be a very chalked out server room, which is, you know, a lot of technology, so like it requires a big construction. And Nolan does say like, yeah, it's a huge undertaking. This isn't something that like is an easy thing. So if I was speaking like a criminal contractor, I would 100% use existing construction sites in order to bypass a way into where the server room would be. And between the areas that they managed to kind of dictate through the tap, as well as, you know, Nolan's experience, they do manage to find a construction yard nearby to warrant the potential entry point, which Nolan uses that as his bargaining chip to get into the operation itself. Harper also gets into the knowledge base that apparently her daughter is a very famous, well, quasi-famous clip talker. So which she's not happy for, not because that she doesn't believe her daughter should be creative. It's because, you know, there's a, you know, the threat of being on having a giant online presence, you know, especially for a teenager, isn't exactly the safest thing to do right now. So of course, you know, that's morally Harper's concern, you know, that her daughter may not potentially be safe at this moment with that front. So by the time she goes to pick her up and goes into a bit of an aggressive driving spree with her, letting her know, and the two getting into argument, apparently not even Donovan knew about it. Definitely, yeah, this is like the first time Harper has been angry mom mode in probably a very long time, so to speak. James also is, speaking of Harper, James is assisting Wesley with his campaign announcement speech, and he immediately admits it's trash. Not that it's a bad speech, but because you're not really catering to a specific audience. You know, again, you can say what you want about politicians and everything. To get a chime in from a major audience is to cater to a major audience. If you try to cater to everyone, you're just kind of like felt like as a neutralist that isn't going to really have a strong, firm grip on one population, because, you know, you're joining an election late. You really need to kick the ground running. So not having a full angle is going to basically hurt you down the road. So James decides to take a pass at the speech, in which by the time everyone intersects back at the station, where Harper switches off her daughter back to James to take them back to the house. Wesley does give over the speech to Lopez, where he admits, like, yeah, this is very much pro James, and whether it's supposed to be pro Wesley. So definitely Wesley's kind of screwed in the pooch with that one, trying to figure out exactly what the correct angle might be on this case. Um, I believe we are getting assembled into the setup point of the operation to break in there. I'm trying to think if there's anything else specifically. If I'm forgetting, I don't believe so. I could be wrong on that front. Um, they're about to swarm in. The team's going to be of Nolan, um, Thorson, Elena, and another professional dude that's also part of Garza's team right now. So my Garza's like, trying to like Garza, my girl Simone's waiting for you. Like, where is she on this team? Like, look, the Niecy Nash Betch, very busy woman. 100%. She is a Emmy Award winner. Congrats to her. I've said this before many times. She has done so much since Rookie Feds, but we still miss Rookie Feds. It's the double edged sword effect here, but. Why is she not on this team? Like, you're telling me you're recruiting all these random people, but you're not recruiting the real people we want to see. Anyway, or they're just being a self-sufficient team without Garza. Anyway, the point I'm trying to say is that Nolan uses his opportunity because Bailey gives him a call, again, pestering him about, like, did you get an update from someone else to see if trying to move into another line of government might be potential for you? Obviously, Nolan gets a little bit frustrated because this isn't exactly a conversation he wants to have before a very dangerous operation because they're going in without guns. This is not technically a firefight. This is more like a research mission of itself. Nolan does talk to Garza about, what's the likelihood of him transferring to like an FBI or a CIA or something like that. And Garza does respond bluntly and said, like, yeah, no, well, however, sadly, the age to get into Quantico is 35, which I'm like, unless you have previous government experience, which I'm like thinking to myself, then how did Simone get in, Garza? How did Simone get in? I mean, I don't quite remember. I know she was a counselor, but that's not really a government job. That's more like a school, like a school state job. But regardless, Garza, you're poking holes here. So essentially, Nolan is not able to even go to Quantico if he wants to. He's just well past the age. But again, it doesn't seem like Nolan's even satisfied with that. So Nolan needs to kind of, tell to Bailey that like this isn't something that's realistically going to happen in both in a serious front and a personal front. The operation begins with the four heading into the building very quietly, very discreetly. They do find something that's again something out of a Mission Impossible movie where they managed to kind of infiltrate. Apparently, it's already been known that, like, okay, the location's kind of been compromised to an extent, so they're going to burn the facility and move the operation over to Las Vegas, in which they have to use this opportunity quickly to at least plant a bug on it so they at least know where it is, wherever it moves, that there's still going to be an access point with that. Sadly, however, their plans do not go fully to a plan, as their original plan was to knock out the power grid, allowing them enough time to get in, get out without issues before they burn up the place. But sadly, however, they repowered on a little bit too early and now have a very set time limit before they actually burn down the entire facility, with Garza ordering everyone, especially Nolan, to get them out of there safe and sound very quickly. Nolan, again, using his construction abilities, manages to get through ventilation shaft, which is a very tight, very narrowing escape route. Bradford and the others swarm in as a firefighter to delay the upcoming burning session, which thankfully they did get enough time to escape, though that's when we catch up back with where the episode began, where Nolan is about to get his ass whooped, but thankfully Garza comes out of the nick of nowhere to save his ass, and thankfully the mission is successful. No issues, no injuries, nothing of the sort. So congrats to them. They another successful mission. Oh no, yeah, I forgot one of the guy that Garza brought in to the team last minute did suffer an injury, but he went through surgery and he's gonna be okay. So it's all gonna work out with that front. And then we see all the officers like very tired, very weakened, very battered, just like doing like kind of a tired walk of like of pain as they're inching towards like, okay, let's get to that clock out button. We're done for this day. We're all wrapped up. And so for them, we kind of just, wrap up the ship a little bit more. I believe they close out the other matter with the two boning sheriffs, in which, yeah, they both admitted to each other the reason they shot each other is that they hoped to kill the other two, for the man to keep his affair secret and for the woman to not get killed. So sadly, it's going to get blown. The man's marriage is over. So I'm like, kids, this is the lesson to learn here from them. Never cheat. Keep your wang in your pants. That's essentially the lesson of the day here from that front. Wesley does announce his campaign to be DA in a very successful manner with Lopez present, as well as some of his other friends and supporters. Harper and James do return home, where Harper does at least compromise um, with Lila about the possibility of continuing her Clip Talk career, in which that she will, but they will consult cybersecurity experts to keep Lila safe from any potential online threats that might be out there. So at least it meets them in the middle that, like, she'll be able to continue what she's doing, but in a very safer approach. Um, I believe we get to the. Do we get to the big one? I don't remember 100%. We don't even really even get a proper goodbye to Thorson. We don't. So I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful he'll get to come back. More often than not in a recurring capacity. I know they were very tight-lipped on it of like if it's going to be a one-episode return or a multi-episode return. So I'm hopeful we'll get to see him at some point later on this season. But I think if I'm gonna give some future spoiler, I think he does, because I did see some set photos that don't match to this episode, so we might be good on that front. And then we get to the big one where Nolan is resting. Bailey is still doubling down on DC, even reaching out to potential apartments, reaching out to potential areas where they can move to, and that's when Nolan finally snaps. He's just like, no, stop. I'm not doing DC. I'm not. Like, I entertain the idea because I love you. I want to keep us together. I want us to be united. I don't want us to separate. But you have asked for too much. You are asking me to not only give up my career, you're asking me to move to another avenue of work that is either A, not possible, B, not feasible, or C, like basically throws the last 5 years of his life to the garbage. Not to say it's obviously there's a trade-off. Obviously, he'll be keeping his lovely wife, but he's losing his career, and he won't be happy with that. And obviously, Bailey's trying to be a little defensive in terms of saying to the fact that I'm not trying to make you quit your job. I'm just saying that I'm just trying to find the right avenue so that you can still be happy and I could be happy exploring this new possibility. And that's when Nolan kind of calls her out as like, look, like, why can't you just be satisfied with where we live? You are a firefighter. You are a Army Reserve soldier. You are doing so many things in your life here in LA with me that you can't even like accept the fact, what, let's let this possibility go away and just focus what you have. And Bailey's like, no, I want to take the job because it goes back to what she said in the last episode. It's like, I know I can do well in this job. I know someone is like looking at me, is like, you would be a great fit for this job. So why don't I go for it? It's, she doesn't want to live in regret. She's like, maybe I would have been amazing in that job. Maybe I would have moved up the ladder in the Pentagon, but I would have never known if I never tried. And I feel like it's a very difficult thing because, like, again, like, I think that's one of the many shades of when you get married. Like, you're gonna have to kind of realize is that obviously it was a hypothetical. Thinking about ever going to the Pentagon is a hypothetical. You should 100% never base your life decision on a hypothetical. If it's not a guaranteed role, don't base your life about it. Do not. Especially when you're married, because you don't want to keep your other significant other waiting as well for that. So I don't blame Nolan for finally snapping and saying, like, I'm not moving. I'm staying here in LA. It's my life. It's my career. We're staying here. But we need to also address the fact that you are pathologically always ready to move on. You're always ready to move on to the next thing. You have no tendency to like just kind of like, let's wait, stop. Let's kind of, look at what we have and be happy for it. That's not happening right now. He's not getting any signs of that. And obviously Bailey gets slowly upset about it. It's like, it's like, you're not even trying to like make it work for me. And I'm like, well, the other point of Bailey is like, again, Bailey, the man moved his entire life from another state to be here. He worked his ass off. He was blacklisted. He was framed. He got a golden ticket. These are all opportunities that's never going to happen again. And guess what? She was there for most of it. So I'm being a little bit on Team Nolan here. We're like 100%. I don't think Nolan should give up his career. I don't think so. I think honestly he should stay in LA. But is Bailey gonna sacrifice the job? I don't know. I mean, yeah, the footage that we got there in the trailer does indicate like she's gonna be in a federal building. So I think either they're gonna try a trial separation or who the heck really knows. To be honest with you, but like it's a really questionable issue right now that they're presented with, and Bailey gets mad at him and like leaves the bedroom. And obviously Nolan, super tight, can't even go after her as they kind of like, again, their marriage is now in question. in which we end things up with Monica calling a mysterious person, letting them know that, hey, I'm just letting you know, just a freebie, that the feds found out about your secret communication array and they already tapped it. They bugged it. So you would want to find other ways to communicate for the time being. So, but if you want more information, you're going to have to pay up. And she drops the burner phone and drives away up, indicating that Monica's going back to her evil ways, because she is a rich girl and she wants to stay rich, so she's going to find every avenue possible to stay rich. But that was it for this week's episode of The Rookie. I got a little heated there at the end. I do apologize. But no, honestly, again, I feel like it's the same thing I'll say from last week. I feel like there were certain things that, like, maybe it's just like the fandom in me, where like I want to see a little bit more. I want to see one more scene focusing on this, or one more scene focusing on that. Where like there was a lot going on. I would have loved to see more of the Fed side of things with Nolan and, Aaron's full return. Or Lucy and not Harper, Lucy and Selena kind of playing tag team on that one. There's a lot. Every single subplot and every single storyline in a Rookie episode could honestly take up an extra scene or two, and it just sucks that, like, the fact that that's the one downside when you have an ensemble. Like, sometimes you can't make everything stretch. You can give things more time than needed because there's only so much time that you have. You have 44 minutes to air an episode, so I understand that. It's just like, I would have loved for Aaron to have a full primary focus. And again, if he's going to come back for more, then yeah, I'll completely disregard that. But still, at least from the context of this episode, it just seems like he is here for the one-off, and it does suck. But again, seeing Lila again, seeing Elena again, keeping alive that this is a larger Rookie universe, and there are going to be people and characters that we haven't seen in a while. Let's get them back in for an episode, and it's great to see that it keeps building out the world, keeping us memorable with them, and keeping us more aware of the fact that anyone could show up in any one of these episodes. And and again, Nolan and Bailey going into their next major storyline, which is like, is this the thing that ends their marriage? Is this going to be Bailey's like regret point? Is Nolan going to change the game? I don't know. I really don't know. There's a lot of question marks right now, but for the time being, it just seems to be one big question mark, as we progress along with that. But with all that being said, I'm giving this episode still 2 thumbs up. Let me know down below, what did you think of this week's episode of The Rookie? Did you love it? Did you like it? Let me know down below. I would love to have a conversation with you about it. But I believe that's going to do it for me today, everyone. So if you're unaware, this has been What's in 2 from ActionX, reviewing every episode in the 8th season of The Rookie. If you want to know what we're doing normally on What's in 2 besides our Rookie episode reviews, we will be back at the very end of this month with new Madlock episode reviews, so stay tuned for that. We are doing After the Theater, which is our movie review series. We just put out our Captain America Brave New World review, so you can go check that out right now if you may please. It does help us out with the support. But if you don't care about The Rookie, you're in luck. We'll be back next week with another brand new episode review. So stay tuned till then. I will be very, very food hungover from the Super Bowl. I'm just giving a heads up on that. Just a heads up. But we'll see you guys then. But again, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't yet. Like, favorite, share if you want to. Ring that bell and follow us on social media for more updates. But until we see each other again, thank you so much for watching. Please stay safe out there. Be good to each other. And as always, peace out.